I'm back with you at the Cathedral Park, the Cathedral of St. Francis of Assisi. Considering he's one of my favorite Christian mystics, it's really quite fun to be sitting in a park that's dedicated to him, a cathedral dedicated to him. I'm starting later today than I normally do, uh, simply because I got here. My time I like to do it, it's about 10 o'clock in the morning, my time. Turns out that today was the day that the park's lawn was to be mowed. So the mower has been going back and forth, and I had to wait till he finished before I could before I could start. So as always, as you're joining in, do say hello. Tell me where you're watching from, uh, and especially if this is the first time you have maybe stumbled on one of these meditations. And before I get to the meditation, I like to take a little bit of time to just, as people are coming, to just talk a little bit about a particular subject. The meditations themselves are all quite similar, right? Because, well, the ultimate goal of meditation is to simply merge with yourself as you actually are, to come to you. And when you come to yourself, you find that, of course, is always the same because it's you. And so the meditation, the goal, if you want to say that, is always the same location, the same place, which is yeah, the depth of your genuine inner being. But now I called this one the liquid light of spirit. I started a while ago, I dropped it, I'm going to pick the project back up, making a set of meditations that I call the liquid light of spirit. And what they were was one of the things that I've heard most often by people, um, especially after one of my meditations and their own practice of meditation, getting to that place of deep inner quiet and peace and a sense of centeredness, of truly being yourself. And then when going back out into the world, there's all sorts of turmoil and reactions, and all the conditioning comes back up. Um, and I've explained the whole process, and that's been very helpful to folks. Um, but I wanted to create a set of meditations to help actually integrate into the system, and which I ended up calling the liquid light of spirit. And I'm going to do one of them today in a little bit after some people arrive. Enjoying my morning latte, and you can see I already spilled it on my shirt. So fortunately, I had the jacket and the camera's just at the right height, so you don't see it, which is why I had to show it to you, right? When we come to this place of deep inner stillness, we often think of it as a place we have visited, right? As if you were something else. You were some kind of wanderer, right? Who's just kind of renting places here and there. And that in this deep inner space of stillness, that somehow you're a tourist. Right? But that's simply because we have forgotten it and don't recognize it anymore as home. It's a little like you've gone back to your childhood home. If you left it, a lot of people are still there, but I left it a long time ago, and and it was probably about 20, 25 years ago at my mother's funeral. My sister and I went back to Illinois for the funeral, and we wandered around the house where they lived when I was born in River Forest, Illinois, Chicago house, and then the house in Palatine, Illinois, where I was at, where I grew up, um, and a lot of it wasn't recognizable. Right? But as I settled into it, I saw it. I kind of looked through all the things that it changes. There was that memory that came back. Right? Ah, right. This is a familiar space. Well, there's nothing more familiar to you than you. But there is this tendency when we come to touch and taste the sweetness of that inner stillness and that inner peace. Uh, we think of it as a place we are visiting, as a place we've gotten to. Right? The, the, the awakening deepens when we realize that this is not a place we've gotten to. This is me. This is me without all the extra stuff added. Now, even with that recognition, I've found, and this one tripped me up for many years, so I'm saving you a lot of time here. So pay attention. Um, that somehow magically life was supposed to just harmonize itself. Right? That was the first shock at 19 when I had this major awakening that literally peeled away from me just all sorts of amazingly just life-threatening habits, basically. Um, it was a complete shock to me when I ran smack dab into just all the conditioning that I had gotten. Not only that, but conditioning that went back in my family for generations. It was not a healthy family, to, to say the least, in any in any regard whatsoever. Um, and it was just a shock. I had no idea how to deal in this with all of the turmoil. It took me decades to come to understand it and to come to truly harmonize with it. And what has to happen is that deep sense of who you are becoming established begins to turn around and infiltrate or colonize all of the conditioned patterns, the whole nervous system, the body, going back going back generations. And that doesn't isn't something that happens overnight. For me, the process was postponed because I kept thinking there was something wrong. I must have been doing something wrong. I had to deepen my knowledge. I had to deepen my insight, which I did. I mean, I just poured over books and knowledge and esoteric knowledge and metaphysical knowledge, everything I could get my hands on, just looking for these deeper and deeper. And it was deeper and deeper. So, on one side, I'm talking to God, and the other side, I can barely tie my own shoes. Um, there, there was this schism there. I had not I had not brought the two. I had not reconciled the two. I had not brought them together. I was still living in a kind of duality: spirituality and material, divinity and humanity. The sublime and the profane. Right? I had no idea how to bring them together, and so it took me a long time, very long time, to finally sort through all that and begin to really understand. When my attention went away from, I just completely exhausted the world of spiritual knowledge, and I began to explore the other side of things, the human side, the nervous system, conditioning, psychological and emotional patterning, that kind of stuff. And so, through starting really in the late '80s, going into the '90s, um, Gestalt and ab reactions and um, primal therapy and all sorts of different things, men's work, the mythopoetic movement. Um, it was suddenly a very different picture, a very different relationship with my nervous system and my body and the world around me began to develop, and the two started to come together, and it really um, that really began to cement itself when I first read "I Am That" from Nisargadatta and the whole world of Advaita, and then Zen opened up to me, where I finally saw that they weren't two, that they were actually one. And so since then, this has been my mission. From that point on, the teaching that I'm doing now would be recognizable to you. Prior to that, it probably wasn't. It wasn't. It had different flavors of all sorts of different things. But at that point, it just kind of settled into uh, this place of flow. So it seemed quite appropriate and there's the bells of St. Francis. um, it seemed quite appropriate that in creating a meditation that I would call it this liquid light. Remember, light is a metaphor throughout all spiritual traditions for consciousness, because in its wholeness, its absolute pure form, it can't be seen. It's totally undetectable. It's invisible. It actually has to be divided and pass through a prism and divided in its parts to be perceived. And so this pure white light, right, of consciousness, we want to touch that light in us, which is that quiet, absolutely still center, and then turn it around and actively give it permission to begin to purge from the system everything unlike itself. And this is not a purging of getting rid of something, it's a purging of light, right? Which is simply dispelling darkness. When you dispel darkness, you're not getting rid of anything, right? Because there's nothing there. Right? You're simply filling the empty space with light, which is the light of your own being. So, thank you all for joining me. Now let's actually do uh, uh, a meditation like that. It's different than the other ones I do, but it will start in the same way. So close your eyes, as always. Really make up your intention to let go of all distractions, to let go of all thoughts, the past, everything that's happened up to this date, anything you're carrying, stuff you think you need to resolve. Just set it aside. You'll find you can actually do that. The future, your ambitions and aspirations, or things you want to accomplish, or maybe even the tasks you have on the list for today. Just set them all aside. They'll be there later if you want them. And bring yourself completely into right this moment. If you're struggling with that, right, there's a lot of distraction or tension because maybe there's a lot of stuff been going on today. Just come to your breath. Deepen and slow down your breath. You'll find with just a couple of deep conscious breaths and your eyes closed, the whole nervous system begins to respond, begins to say yes. And the more you've done these meditations, we've done over 50 of them so far, the, the, the more the nervous system gets trained. The moment you close your eyes and slow your breath, it knows it's time to let go. And then let attention just kind of expand a bit and take in this whole energy field of the body. And notice, with your eyes closed, that the body is more of a field or an energy pattern than it is a form. As you're feeling your body, your mind may present pictures of your body, maybe even name body parts. But just notice that that's not actually what you're experiencing. It's a memory. Just notice it, but bring your attention back to that sense of presence, the sense of the body as a field of energy, like a vibration in some kind of very subtle medium. And then take a step back even further and just notice that without even trying, you're aware of this field of energy. That there's a very subtle sense of presence that is even aware of this subtle field of energy, even aware of the space in which the energy is is vibrating. You notice it's simply a noticing, a seeing. You didn't create this. Something overlooked often when during your normal course of the day. We set all of that aside for the purpose of just noticing you, noticing everything else. The most subtle sense of presence there is. Now, just being right here, staying focused right here at this sense of presence. Imagine from this sense of presence, there's this very subtle, translucent white light that is emanating from this center place, like the heart, right? But even closer. And just imagine that kind of beginning to spread out. Notice beginning to penetrate your body, starting right at the top of your head. And just beginning to slowly sink down across your forehead, around the side of your head and the back, across your eyes. And you could just feel your whole body surrendering to this light that isn't really a light, not a physical light, something else. And down your cheeks and your jaw, the back of your head to your neck. Continuing down your shoulders, top of your chest, all the way out your, your upper arm, elbows, forearm, and it going all the way down to your fingers. This isn't a physical light. It's the light of spirit that draws its power and existence from your center. It's around your chest, down your back, down your spine, onto the lower back, around the bottom of your chest, the solar plexus, abdomen, around your hips and the whole pelvic area. And as this light is moving, it's illuminating. It's, it's picking up the toxins and just washing them away. It's lighting the dark areas. toxins that are assumptions, beliefs, habits, patterns, not just for you, but going back to every generation prior to you. It continues down your legs, top of your legs, the thighs, knees, shins, calves. You feel it going down into your ankles and your feet, and even continuing down into the earth. You can feel it just keep going. Feel it spreading out into the room you're in, the ground the building is built on, spreading out, just really permeating the whole earth. All emanating from a central point. But never losing touch with that central point. Now, this image of it moving, something moving from your body, body, through the nervous system, through time, the image itself isn't the reality, it isn't the power. But it represents that power. Now just give it permission to dissolve anything unlike itself, to remove anything unnecessary. Time is no obstacle to it. Space is no obstacle to it. Even imagine it stretching out and dissolving all the darkness in the whole world. And I just let go of that and come back to the center. Because even as dynamic and as expansive as that was, it was still being watched by you, even more subtle, even more present. And know that that light, that liquid light, is actually always moving. It's still out there, touching, healing, dissolving, awakening. And that, well, now as we're going to bring our attention back to the physical characteristics of our life, that you're not leaving here. You can't leave here. This is home. And as far away as your attention may wander, it never disconnects from here. It never stops reporting to here, to you, the unknowable, imperceivable you. So take another deep breath, and when you're ready, open your eyes. Perfect. And the bells welcome us home. Robbie in Romania. Hello, Robbie. Sarah in France. Good to see you, as always. Kabadivian. Karine, right. Great to be here in LA. Hello. Hello from LA. Hello to LA. Truth Loops. Hello to you. Ava. My dear Ava. Roberto. Hello, Roberto. Kamal in India. Roberto. For your information, I'm starting to feel different from yesterday after all these weeks. I hope it lasts. Um, Notice that that's your mind when it says, I hope it lasts. That's just the mind trying to hold on to the good feeling, which he thinks is in such short supply, right? Um, the good feelings will last, but they'll also dissipate. Remember, anything that comes goes, right? We're putting our attention and our energy and our faith and our love in that which does not come and go. That which does not come and go is eternal and and utterly stable and reliable. That which does come and go comes and goes. Okay? That means really great feelings and really bad feelings. When that's understood, we simply let go. Attachment's gone. We don't we don't try to do the impossible, which is to make the impermanent permanent. And we anchor our hearts and our minds and our souls in that which is permanent. And what's permanent? You. The thing I show you in every single one of these meditations. That which is unchanging. Not the thought of you, but the actual you. Even the thoughts of ourselves change. Our sense of identity, our sense of everything changes, shifts, right? It's constantly in flux. Sense of identity, ego, all of it, right? Rises, dissipates. But there's always something there which is witnessing some it coming and going. That thing which is always there and doesn't come and go. That's why we can't see it. It doesn't move. It has no moving parts, right? It's not made of anything else, right? So it doesn't come and go. It's not an object that can be perceived. So notice that there's something noticing that the feeling is different. And of course, we prefer the good feeling to the bad. You'll notice that too, but just don't hold on to it. Right? And you'll find that you'll sink into a deeper level of good feeling that actually does last. Right? As a matter of fact, it had no beginning and has no end. We're kind of dipping into that out of the world of flux and change. He says, I still have all kinds of pains and overall muscles, the third eye, the fingers, toes, etc. But I feel different. Perfect. Yes, that's exactly it. Okay? Let those be there. That's just the activity of the nervous system. And the deeper you go into this deeper you go into this inner space, the more like the meditation, the liquid light, it's clearing that stuff out. Right? But as it clears out, there's old habits that want to hold on to it and say, oh my God, let me get all here, right? The resistance or the attachment. Just notice both of those and just hands off. Just figure yourself going, hands off. Let it do whatever it wants to do. That's genuine freedom. Remember, freedom is not freedom from things happening. It's a being unmoved and imperturbed no matter what happens. That's freedom. Otherwise, we are dependent upon circumstance and will spend our entire life trying to control them. But true freedom is I'm not dependent on circumstance. When Krishnamurti was asked what was his secret, he responded, I don't mind what happens. That's the secret. A little dark and chilly. I wonder if it's going to rain. Daryl in Maryland. Hello to Daryl. Patricia. Hello, Patricia. In LA, I have a conference this weekend at the exact times of your retreat. I hope it's a success and you'll do another. I will. I will actually. Considering it's pretty good, right? We've got a nice crowd of people showing up. There's room for more. We can handle up to 100. We're not there yet. So just a reminder, because it does start tomorrow. So anybody who wants to get in on it can. Um, It is being offered through the Krishnamurti Education Center of Canada, which is why KECC at the end there. Um, and it will they're handling everything. I just kind of show up and talk tomorrow. Anne says, when do I get the Zoom link? Um, Register, but I never got a link. He sent them out today. If you, I will check and make sure it's on the list. Do you have an email from the Krishnamurti Center itself that you can respond to? Because I'm not handling any of that, any of the money or any of that. Um, so by all means, you will get it, Anne. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of you. Um, and I will check with him too. Specifically, there's a couple of other people that things got mixed up, foreign transactions and that sort of stuff. So we'll get it all. So Ralph, who runs the center there, is just marvelous, 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 marvelous guy. Originally from Austria, actually. So we'll get it taken care of, my friend. Ella in Poland this time. You're somebody weren't in Poland before. Alessandra, thank you. Hi, Alessandra. We need to talk today, yes, by the way. JLOG, I'll be joining for the retreat. Yay, wonderful. Roberto, by the way, I got a blood test made for COVID, and it turns I developed antibodies without knowing I had gotten it at some point, since I did not develop any symptoms. But I know there's much more behind it. Yeah, there is. There is. Um, this kind of inner work you're doing physically affects the body. Um, a friend of mine, Dawson Church, who runs EFT Universe, um, was part of some studies of using EFT in the immune system, and it actually increased the immunity, the immune system by 113% measured. Right, this is like double-blind standard scientific standards. Now, why aren't we hearing about this on the news instead of it's always vaccine, 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 vaccine? Right? Because there's no money in this. That's why. Right? Just health. Right? Um, so yes, um, there is a literal physical effect. It isn't just in the mind. I'm gonna right. I mean, it actually permeates. That's the meditation I was doing, to actually permeate the actual system itself and bring about transformation. So yeah, it is more than merely an exposure to it, which may have happened. It may not even have happened. You may have not gotten it at some point. It's just with attention focused there, the body develops what it needs to do because it's being guided not by physical responses, but by inner energy. And that is the reality. I'm kind of a lone voice, not a lone voice, but there's not many of us, right? That is the reality. The energy's first, not second, not it's primary, right? So, Kamal, it appears like a new dimension has taken over me. Everything quiets down and there's nothing. Right now, it's happening very frequently. Good, 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 good. Yes, just just stay with it, and also notice. I want to just keep pushing you to the end state. Um, it appears like a new dimension is taken over me. Everything quiets down, and there's nothing. Right now, it happens very frequently. Well, good. Now, there's not nothing. There's one thing. There's you. Now, bring your attention away even from the new dimension, from the quieting, and from the nothing, just the emptiness, to what is aware of it. That's the transcendent. Because you're there. Right? There's a new dimension, right? No matter how subtle it is that you notice, how total empty it is, you're there to see it. So who are you? So keep going. Keep going. Right? You're, don't don't buy real estate there yet. There's there's more. We want to get to you. And nothing but you. And when you see that there's nothing, there's emptiness, but I'm here aware of it. Who's this I? Who am I really? Beautiful. Blue backflip. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the great meditation, GP. You're very welcome. John, GP means the elegant Krishnamurti guys. The grumpy one would have said his secret is money. Yes. The elegant Jita Krishnamurti. Yeah, J. Krishnamurti, not the other one. I can't remember. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Yeah, he's he's kind of a curmudgeon kind of character. Um, Jay said he got an email from Ralph. Good. So I guess if you haven't, Anne, we'll look into that. But everybody should have, and I'll be checking in with him today because we start tomorrow. Kieran says, will there be a recording? The answer is yes, there will be. I just talked to him yesterday about making it available for download. They weren't really intending on doing that, but I said, well, we should do that, and there'll be many people who would even buy it after the fact, who can't be there live for whatever reason, and would be happy to actually own it and go through the retreat themselves. So that is going to happen. Um, uh, Ava, thank you, my great master. You're so sweet for this mesmerizing guidance. Liquid light dissolving what is not myself, all the darkness. Yeah, Mr. Miyagi, good to have you. Hi. Anyway, can you simply explain why EFT works? Well, I can only explain it why I think it works, right? Because all of this subtle energy stuff, acupuncture and the like, it works and nobody really knows why. Right? In the EFT course, I really make it very clear that um, nobody knows what energy is, right? It's part of this energy healing and it's an energy disturbance, energy flow in the body. But the structures that we talk about, right, have not been scientifically validated. I mean, to me, that means nothing, but for a lot of people, that's important. The effect of it has been just like the effect of acupuncture and feng shui and all sorts of things that are involved, energetic, uh, working with the energy, have a salubrious effect. And there's various kinds of theories. My theory is this: what I can point to that I actually know, and that is that the EFT spots that are tapped correspond to natural places on the body that the body has hardwired associated with comfort, right? Referred to as the limbic brain, the emotional brain. And it's not just us; animals touch these spots and everything, right? Like when you're surprised, you go, "Oh," right? Or like this, or you're worried, you kind of do this. There's this natural tendency when as emotions are going through us to touch different parts of our body. Oh, or God, what's going on? Right? All of those on the face are the points that EFT taps. So it's obviously physiological that there's comfort when these parts are tapped or even rubbed. Okay? So for me, what it does is consciously and intentionally communicate to the nervous system that it's safe. And my whole philosophy, the whole foundation on which I built inner reconciliation, is that the entire problem we face is the traumas that arose from not being safe, which is why talk therapy and self-help, they don't really work because they try to force a change to behavior without creating an environment in which the behavior naturally shifts. If you create a safe environment, the nervous system, which is a completely adaptive mechanism, will adapt to whatever environment you put it in. It's like water, whatever jar you pour it in. Pour it in a jar, pour it in a shoe, pour it in an old tire. It just takes the shape of it. The nervous system is like that. So if you consciously create a safe space, and EFT communicates safety through touch, which is why I use it, um, the nervous system will all by itself begin to flow into its natural healthy channels. So that's my short explanation as to why it works. Can I prove it? Nope. Although there's lots of evidence that's compounding that it does work, right? You're not going to hear a lot about it because, like I said before, it doesn't make, you know, you can't charge somebody for doing this, right? You can't patent this, right? So, all you're going to hear about on the news is vaccine, 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 or drug, 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 drug. These very natural, free um, uh, um, remedies, like herbs and that sort of thing, they're completely overlooked. So that's that's my explanation of why it works. I've not found anything to contradict that. Um, when I teach people how to do EFT and how to do it on others, which I'm going to have a program coming up, that's where the focus is: creating the environment of safety, and how to use EFT as part of doing that. And the whole dialogue is all about creating the safety. And the nervous system does the rest. You don't have to fix anything, it fixes itself. So hopefully that helps you. That explains it for you to your satisfaction, Mr. Miyagi. Jay, Kieran's seems like will be a recording. We're not sure if it's available to everyone. I'm making it available to everyone, Jay. Ralph and I talked about it already, and he's up for it. Um, so, uh, so yeah, it's good for them too. I mean, if they're selling it after the fact, it helps because it helps them, support the center. It's supported completely by donation, and it's this beautiful, I don't know, 30-acre uh, place up on Vancouver Island, across the bay from Victoria, overlooks the ocean. I mean, it's just a spectacular place, swimming pool and the like. So, I'm I'm anything we can do to help them keep going, because they're promoting these messages, not just me. They've put on stuff for Rupert Spira, for Eckhart Tolle, who lives very near there, um, and and the like. So, I mean, they're very much involved in keeping this kind of conversation going. Plus, studying the works of Krishnamurti himself, who's a great man, who's a great enlightened being. So, Kieran says thank you, and thank you to you, Kieran. We'll be in the retreat except for Friday. Good, wonderful, glad to have you. Roberto, I had pain in my left knee all day today, and I put my concentration on during the meditation, and it worked. Yes, yes. Isn't that great? You just send it light. But remember, the light isn't like, it's not a visualization of light and stuff. This is empowered by the truth of it, which is you. At the center of you is this absolutely pure, innocent, untouched beingness. And that beingness can manifest itself as a healing light. Right? So the power isn't in the light any more than the power is in the light beam, right? It's in the sun, right? But the light beam, look at the light beam and what do you see? The sun. Right? So that's why things like this are effective. Right? It isn't just I'm going to visualize, white light or a violet flame and things like that. Um, it has to draw its power from something that's absolutely real, and what's real is you. Hmm. So come on, the questioner disappears, and there's only this witnessing me. Nothing matters. Nothing ever mattered. After a while, the questioner appears again, trying to comprehend everything. Good. Just watch it. Watch it do that. Beautiful. Yeah. But but notice that the questioner is appearing. Great. It will, right? It's okay. The universe appears, right? And disappears. Puff, 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 puff. Right? And it's trying to comprehend it, not you. Right? But there is still kind of that attachment to wanting to know and the like, which is kind of very natural for us. But again, to whom it's appearing. There's only this witness. Who's noticing the witness? Keep going, my friend. Keep going till there's nothing left but you. Right? You're on the door. You're right on the door. You're knocking on the door, right? But there's no door handle, right? And your knocking has nothing to do with it opening. You're just standing in the right place. Just somebody got, why are you knocking on the door? There's nobody there. Nothing else to do. You know, the artist can't guarantee a masterpiece is going to happen, right? But what can they do? They show up with to the canvas with their paints, right? Because it might, it just might. So Beautiful, beautiful, says Mr. Miyagi. Thank you. You're very welcome. I hope that answers it for you. I mean, I don't. EFT is the only any healing modality that I still use, right? Because most of them have the, they rely more on faith, right, and more on the mind, right? And when I was creating inner reconciliation, I knew there had to be an engagement of the body, and I was so delighted. What, 15 years ago now, when I ran across EFT, and said, "Wow, look at that!" And I could immediately grasp what it was about and how it worked. Anne said, um, uh, let's see, missed reply to this. Can you answer now? Um, yes, Ralph sent out the notifications and the Zoom and stuff. Check your spam and stuff because it's not coming from me. It's coming from KECC. So make sure you check your spam and the like. Um, and I'll just make sure that Ralph sends it to you, or I'll put you and Ralph in touch together because I don't have control over that. Right? This isn't coming from my platform, so I can't do anything. Right? Um, so if you haven't gotten anything, you registered and you haven't gotten anything from Ralph. Um, so uh, yeah, uh, and if you haven't got anything from Ralph, please send it to support@gpwalsh.com so I don't miss it because I won't be back home for a while. I won't be checking things for a bit, but we'll make sure you have it by tomorrow morning, Ann. Kamal says, thank you. You're very welcome. Jay says, I was watching your satsang from last week and you talked about being with the pure feeling of desire without a story being created around it, whether it's a brand new Dodge or a big house. Full contentment is in me and not the object. That's the insight. Yes. As long as it's in the object, I will be chasing it endlessly. That's the donkey and the carrot, right? That's the mirage in the desert. Doesn't matter how fast or how far you run, it's always exactly the same distance away. Right? That's that's the mirage is a metaphor, is a symbolic representation of our relationship to the experienced world, as we call it. Right? But the experienced world is a mirage. It's a dream. It's a reflection. It's not the substance. But the essential ignorance that we all fall into is believing that what I'm seeing with my senses is real. Real. By meaning real, it exists independently from my perception of it. It doesn't. All there is your perception, which means every quality you are perceiving around you is you. It is a reflection of you. Therefore, if you're going to discover true contentment, you can't find it out there. You can't lose weight by changing the mirror, right? You turn back here. Kieran, any idea when the new uploads for the chakra course will be happen? I'm working on them now. I had so many things I had to get through, but you won't be left out. I promise. I'm actually, there's another platform that has invited me to put courses on there, and that's one of the courses I'm putting over there. It's called the International Academy of Universal Self Mastery. It's a real mouthful, but delightful people running it and the like. So I agreed to put my courses up there. So I'm finishing a whole bunch of stuff. So you'll be getting it soon, Karen. Thank you for asking, and thank you for your patience. Um, Nobody, when I remember, the pandemic wasn't going on when I started that, and all sorts of things just kind of happened. So so it's a bunch of new stuff coming for that. Ava, waiting for the retreat with G. Good. I'm waiting for the retreat with Ava. All right, everybody, let's leave it for today. I think I've exhausted the questions. And once again, let me take this off. Once again, I just thank you all for being here and for enjoying these meditations with me. We're up to like 55 or something now. It's pretty great. Uh, oh, there we go. Oh, it's 12. It's going on 12 noon, isn't it? Yes, it is. So anyway, someone came into the camera and waved and took off. Very good. Anyway, so those of you who are going to be joining me, I'll see you tomorrow. Obviously, I won't be doing any morning meditations because it's right about the same time. It is my intention to be doing satsang on Sunday. It just may start a little late. It depends on how the class goes, because the class goes from 11 to right up to the starting point of, uh, of satsang. The world is an illusion created by thoughts, including the ego. That would be right to say. Yes, but with a caveat, right? Experience the world. When we think of the world as being some existing independent from my perception, then it is an illusion. That's the illusion. Remember, an illusion is a misperception of something that's actually real, right? Like the illusion of the sun going across the sky, right? Right now, when you see it's an illusion, the sun doesn't stop, right? But you see it correctly. When the world is believed to be objective and exist independent of my perception, that belief is the illusion, and that's the world. That's samsara. The moment the very same world is seen as the reflection of and inherent in my perceiving, it now is transformed into myself, and that is nirvana. Sarah says, I have not gotten my invitation either. Okay. I'll check into it, Sarah. Uh, Very, very good. So, Anne and Sarah, I will check into it, make sure. So, thank you, Truth Loops. Thank you, Mr. Miyagi. Thank you, Kamal. Thank you, Jay, Karen, Ava, everybody. Love you all. Namaste.